Happening now, authorities are looking into a local band teacher who has allegedly sent over 600 private messages to students. And we look at what Jamestown leaders are doing to keep manufacturing alive in the Southern Tier. Plus, it's Christmas in July. We look at the festive weekend ahead.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
Thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Bronson Rasmussen. Those stories and more are coming up, but first, a local band teacher is being investigated after the town of Ellicott Police Department were alerted to a suspicious situation involving a juvenile student Thursday. Upon investigation, it was found that Faulkner Central School band teacher Jeffrey Camp had allegedly sent over 600 text messages to the juvenile student in an attempt to convince the student to meet. Now, Camp had allegedly also attempted to bring the victim into the school after hours. A search warrant was issued by the town of Ellicott Court, and Camp's cell phone has been seized and is being held as evidence. Further charges are possible. The police department is working very closely with Faulkner school districts. Their administration team, Camp was located and taken into custody on July 20th, where he's currently being held pending arraignment. And right now I am joined at the news desk with our Alyssa Wright, and she went to Faulkner School with Camp, and really this came as a shock to you.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of the students, I've had quite a few reach out to me, very, very shocked former students. He was always very sweet, very, helpful, but I think that it opens a really good conversation for parents to be having with their children. Predators are lurking everywhere in places that you wouldn't expect them, and unfortunately a place that you send your child to be safe. So especially parents, have those difficult conversations with your children. Have them notify the signs, be able to identify maybe this person isn't a safe adult. And unfortunately, especially with male victims, there's a very, very bad stigma around male victims, so make sure you're having those difficult conversations.
Which is something that we didn't actually mention in the report, right? It was a male student who initially notified authorities about everything that was happening.
That is correct, which makes it even more of a difficult situation.
Definitely. Well, Alyssa, thank you very much. In other news, City of Jamestown leaders alongside Jamestown Community College and other employer representatives went to an academy to keep the manufacturing business alive in the Southern Tier. The groups met at the first ever Good Job, Great Cities Academy in Washington, D.C. The academy is a peer learning cohort meant to launch workforce initiatives and build pathways into good jobs, with the ultimate goal of upskilling and reskilling workers into high-demand jobs in infrastructure, clean energy, and advanced manufacturing in Chautauqua County. Now in Chautauqua County alone, there are over 200 manufacturers, most of which have a variety of job openings. In the end, city leaders believe that getting more workers into the manufacturing industry will grow the local economy and keep people in the Southern Tier. Now the city of Jamestown joined 15 other cities from across the country at the convention. Local officials and Chautauqua County community leaders held an open house on Wednesday to showcase a new mobile health vehicle. In 2021, the county received funds to purchase that vehicle from a CDC grant facilitated by the New York State Department of Health. The mobile health unit is equipped with a full exam room, laboratory capabilities, and a waiting area. This new unit will provide access to health education resources for new parents, childhood screenings, and testing for lead poisoning, immunization services, and much more. The vehicle will be deployed on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Chautauqua County Fairgrounds in Dunkirk, and during this time, staff will be operating information to the public. The vehicle will also serve as a breastfeeding station between 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. during the fair. For more information, those interested can visit the health department's website. Well, Christmas in July has kicked off in the city of Jamestown, bringing with it a weekend of inclusivity. The festive weekend kicked off Thursday with the Gus Macker Kickoff Party, seeing close to 500 people come to the Riverwalk. On Friday, beginning at 4 p.m., adults can engage with a happy hour scavenger hunt across 8 different restaurants and bars, alongside the Whirly Bird Festival. The following day slows down with the downtown Jamestown Farmers Market, with this week's market featuring the Sundance Kids Farm Petting Zoo. The last day of the festivities will come to a head with 2 games of baseball.
Sunday night's the biggie. We're going to be at the Tarp Skunks game, doubleheader. My guy, Vinny Ognebenny's throwing out the pitch at the first game, and we'll have all our characters down there. Tarp Skunks have a doubleheader, 5 and 7, and then we have a great fireworks show that evening.
The main goal with this year's event is to include everyone.
Along first base side, there's a tent that the Tarp Skunks have down there. We have the walls to wall that off a little bit, and we're going to make a quiet zone at the game for any child or adult that has trouble with loud noises or fireworks or things like that. There are going to be some fidget toys in there and some beanbag chairs and just a place to take a break if they need to.
Now, due to inclement weather Thursday night, the free concert featuring Nerds Gone Wild had to be postponed. A rescheduled date has been set and will be announced sometime in the near future. Well, speaking of that inclement weather we got yesterday, we'll get a check of our first weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Andrew Stevenson.
Before I actually get into the forecast, I just want to say that yesterday the NOAA Storm Prediction Center and the models were pretty much spot on with what they were forecasting and what we got. The NOAA Storm Prediction Center put out all the outlooks for the wind and the hail and even the tornado risk, and we had a tornado warning for Erie County in Pennsylvania, and then the model was nailed down when the line was going to move through around 6 o'clock, between 6 and 8 o'clock, and then the line moved through as the models were projected, and even in a later model run they had that storm that was tornado warned in Erie County pop up on the model. So I'm just going to say yesterday the models were perfect, and the weather people take a lot of flack for being wrong half the time, but yesterday was a perfect example of the Storm Prediction Center and the models just getting it spot on. So just a shout out to them because they were perfect yesterday. In terms of the storms yesterday to move through, there were plenty of trees down across the region as the storm moved through. This photo was taken in Clairsville yesterday evening from Chautauqua Weather Today of a tree down on the road, and we also have a perfect picture of lightning, and this also comes from Chautauqua Weather Today. Not sure where this was, but it's very rare to actually catch this on camera, so they were able to capture this picture of lightning. We also had video of the funnel cloud, which was in Union City, Pennsylvania yesterday, and I'm not sure if you can hear the sound, but this was from WNY Storm Chasers, which captured this funnel cloud moving over Union City, Pennsylvania. Now, this was not a confirmed tornado; it was just radar indicated, but the National Weather Service will see if this was confirmed at some point, but this again was over Union City, Pennsylvania yesterday. So we had some storm reports as the line moved through, and then, as I said, the National Weather Service will be out surveying those storm reports to see if it was more than likely not a tornado, but straight line wind damage that caused these trees to come down. In terms of the almanac yesterday, we made it to a high of 80 degrees for the day. Our low was 54, and the record high was 95, set back in 1991. The record low of 38, set back in 1974. So here's your first defense weather forecast for the rest of the afternoon out there. The cold front has moved through the region. I had a few showers this morning. Behind the cold front, temperatures will drop down. The dew points will drop down, and we'll have some clearing skies through the afternoon, and the weekend is looking pretty good as well. Highs today will range from the low to mid 70s with a northwest wind of 10 to 15 miles per hour. And I'll have that weekend forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. And everyone, a round of applause for Andrew for all the coverage that he did during yesterday's storm. Well, as WNY News Now continues, we look at why New York City paid out millions in a mishandled protest. And later, how severe weather could affect the pharmacy. Stay with us, as WNY News Now will be right back.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at Macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
WNY News Now is covering stories that matter to you.
15-year-old Yadiel Diaz was subject to a public humiliation stunt by a fellow student in an act of violence and bullying. Now Yadiel's mother, Raquel, has had enough.
Officials are trying to work with the county's homeless coalition to help support the homeless population locally. There are also plans in the works to build 2 new shelters.
WNY News Now, where coverage comes first. You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
New York City has agreed to pay more than $13 million for officers' treatment of protesters during the George Floyd demonstrations. A class action lawsuit accused police of using unlawful tactics when they arrested nearly 1,400 protesters and demonstrations in Manhattan and Brooklyn. In a settlement proposal reached on Thursday, protesters would receive nearly $10,000 each. The demonstrations were among many erupting nationwide in May of 2020, following the death of George Floyd as he was fatally restrained by Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. Now plaintiffs accuse New York officers of beating protesters with batons and fists, forcing them into small spaces where they couldn't escape, and arresting them without lawful justification. Now a judge must approve the settlement before it takes effect. While continuing coverage, investigators in the Gilgo Beach serial killings case are operating on the theory that the suspect, a 59-year-old father of 2, committed the murders in his Long Island home. Well, that's because there is a direct correlation between when the murders occurred and when his family was out of town. Brian Gingras has the story.
He's laying on his bunk. He's been extremely quiet, not really talkative to staff.
Accused serial killer Rex Heuermann, alone and under suicide watch behind bars as the investigation into his alleged killings expands.
I think in the coming days, as we continue to gather evidence, anything's possible.
His wife of more than 27 years now filing for divorce. In a statement, her attorney said the sensitive nature of her husband's arrest is taking an emotional toll on the immediate and extended family.
If you ask me, I don't believe that they knew about this double life that Mr. Harriman was living.
A week after his arrest, the investigation spans 3 states. Authorities are searching not only his Long Island home, but also his office and nearby storage facilities, 2 Las Vegas condos he purchased, and in South Carolina, where he owns land. Sources tell CNN there, agents towed Heuermann's truck, which they say connects him to one of 3 murders he's charged with committing more than a decade ago. Authorities are combing through evidence.
So we're looking for potential trophies, souvenirs, jewelry, anything that could be attached to the 4 women or other women that he might have been involved with.
Several departments are also reviewing cold cases to see if Heuermann is connected. This as more women are coming forward saying they too were solicited by him.
I had a really, really bad feeling. Like my gut was like telling me I needed to get away from him.
Heuermann's phone logs and his DNA, police say, are smoking guns in a case that ran cold for years. Court paperwork describes how he used burner phones to taunt victims' families and researched this case as recently as last month.
It tells me that he was concerned, trying to take a look at, where do we stand as a investigative team? Did we have someone that we may be possibly looking at it? I'm sure that would have probably scared him.
The 59-year-old New York City architect has pleaded not guilty, but a friend of one of the victims believes police got it right.
It just makes me mad because he's such a big monster.
Police in East Corneth, Vermont are investigating 2 reported thefts from the Beetlejuice 2 film set. Now, police got a call from movie security personnel on July 14th, reporting props missing. According to a news release from Vermont State Police, a pickup truck drove up to the large lamppost, put it in the back of the truck, covered it with a tarp, and fled the scene. Police say movie officials told them that 3 days later, a 150-pound abstract art statue went missing from a set near the cemetery. Vermont State Police are encouraging anyone with information on the thieves to contact them. Well, parts of North Carolina slammed by an EF3 tornado Wednesday, but the impact of the weather disaster could have much farther reaching consequences after a Pfizer manufacturing plant sustained significant damage. Mike Valerio reports.
A North Carolina Pfizer plant slammed Wednesday by an EF3 tornado. One of the largest facilities manufacturing sterile injectable drugs in the world, the site supplies more than a quarter of such medications used in U.S. hospitals.
A sterile injectable is really any drug that you give by IV, and it affects lots of aspects of American healthcare, from the operating room with anesthesia to infectious disease and a whole host of other medicines.
Now, as the company assesses the damage to gauge the impact, experts are concerned Pfizer's lost product and production capability could have significant consequences in hospitals across the country.
I'm really afraid that some patients will get suboptimal care, and there may be an increase in lives lost.
Physicians and supply chain experts also fear this event could exacerbate the nation's ongoing drug shortages.
I have about 300 drugs in short supply now in the United States.
Dr. Peter Chin Hong of the University of California, San Francisco says there are several key factors contributing to the shortages, including increased demand, scarcity in raw materials from overseas, and a lack of transparency in the supply chain.
It's a multimodal problem that needs a lot of interventions from different aspects.
But he says if you rely on a medication currently in short supply, don't panic.
Find out what the alternatives are, but make sure you talk to your healthcare provider, because not all alternatives are created equal.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
Hundreds of thousands of cups marketed for children have been recalled. Why? Because they contain lead. 8 and 12-ounce Cupkin double-walled stainless steel children's cups were sold in pairs on Amazon and the company's website. Consumers bought about 346,000 of them over the past 5 years. The cups have been found to contain lead levels that exceed the federal government's limit on heavy metal. It is considered extremely toxic to children. Anyone who has one of the cups can request a refund on Cupkin's website. Well, you think it's hot out now? Well, NASA says get ready for next year. The space agency issued a warning Thursday that says that next year will probably be even warmer. That's because we haven't really felt the impact of El Nino yet. Instead, what we're experiencing right now is a result of climate change, NASA says, and has been caused by burning fossil fuels. So next year, as that continues and the natural El Nino weather cycle starts to impact things, the mercury will rise even higher. NASA scientists are also worried about warming ocean temperatures. While hotter oceans help fuel catastrophic weather events like hurricanes and melting glaciers, which make water levels rise. Well, coming up, we have our Pet of the Week segment. And later, we look at what heat ravaging the U.S. and how it affects certain plants. But first, we return with a look at our full weather forecast.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at Macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense weather.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Currently over downtown Jamestown, cloudy skies. The current temperature at Jamestown Airport as of the noon hour, 66 degrees with a northwest wind of 12 miles per hour, and the dew point is at 62. But as that cold front moves through, the dew point will come down through the afternoon and into the weekend. Let's take a look at the updated drought monitor, which was updated yesterday. And we have seen some improvement from this time last week. Actually, portions of the southern tier, I was to say eastern Chautauqua County, and then up into Erie County, the western portion of Erie County are now under just dry conditions, but there's some areas that are still under a moderate drought. That rain we got yesterday will definitely help this, and we'll see if we get any improvement by this time next week when it's updated next Thursday. Well, we have some cooler temperatures this weekend, but taking a look at the NOAA 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, which spans July 26th through July 30th in most of the country, I would say pretty much the entire country, the 48 states, except for portions of maybe Oregon and Washington, will be doing with well above average temperatures heading into the final few days of July and into early August. So we're talking about temperatures probably getting well into the 80s, close to 90, close out the month, not only here, but across much of the country. And we know portions of Texas and down in Arizona, they're dealing with temperatures well above average, close to 100, if not over 100. So yeah, be prepared. Some warmer temperatures will be on the way after the cooler temperatures we have this weekend. Here's what's happening across the Northeast right now. That cold front has moved through the area. It's actually this cold front that spawned all that severe weather last evening, but the cold front has moved through. High pressure will be building in through the rest of the afternoon and into the weekend, and the weekend is looking pretty good. Partly sunny skies to the weekend. I'll have that forecast coming up in just a few minutes. But first, let's take a look at future scan. A few showers as that cold front moves through, but the rest of the afternoon into the night should go partly sunny to mainly clear skies overnight. Mainly clear skies overnight and into the day tomorrow. Tomorrow's looking pretty good out there. Partly sunny skies, temperatures in the lower 70s. Future scan trying to show an isolated shower tomorrow afternoon. Don't really think that's going to happen. Should be a dry day. We should continue with a dry day heading into Sunday. So let's take a look at your weekend outlook. Partly sunny skies tomorrow. Comfortable temperatures in the lower 70s. Dew points drop back down into the 50s, so it's going to be feeling quite comfortable out there. Mainly clear skies overnight tomorrow night into Sunday with lows in the lower 50s. Some inland places might drop into the upper 40s, so tomorrow night should be able to turn off the air conditioner. And then heading into Sunday, another beautiful day out there, partly sunny skies, a little warmer with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. And now the rest of that outlook, powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. We stay dry into early next week, Monday and Tuesday, just a chance for maybe a few isolated showers in the afternoon, highs in upper 70s, close to 80 Monday and Tuesday. And then as the end of the month rolls around, temperatures will spike into the mid 80s. It could get close to the upper 80s by the end of next week with a few showers possible on Thursday, but we'll keep an eye on those temperatures as we head in towards the end of next week.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. In an effort to help animals find their forever home, WNY News Now is partnering with the Chautauqua County Humane Society in a segment called The Pet of the Week. Brian Papalea has more about this week's featured furry friend.
Hey Bronson, Brian here at the Serenity Room at the Chautauqua County Humane Society, and I am here with 2-year-old Petunia. Petunia loves attention. She loves the windows. See her view out there. And she is looking for a home. Yeah, look at that. She lives with another cat, so she will do pretty well with cats. All you have to do is make sure that you have a good introduction. And our adoption counselors will talk to you about that. It's good to introduce them over a slow period of time, like a couple of weeks, so you can get used to each other. She has been spayed, and she's microchipped, and she's up to date on her vaccinations and everything. But she's looking for love, and my hand wasn't even in the right spot. But we have Empty the Shelters going on now through July 31st. So come on down, meet Petunia, take Petunia home. Something I will say is that we are going to be closed today and tomorrow because we have a big staff training. There are going to be a lot of people learning more about how to do better for the animals, which is what trainings are. So anyway, we invite you to come Monday when we open at 1 o'clock, meet Petunia and all the other great animals here at the Chautauqua County Humane Society and adopt. Thank you, Bronson.
Brian, thank you. To learn more about Petunia or any other resident of the shelter, be sure to contact the Chautauqua County Humane Society at 716-665-2209 or visit chuhumane.org. Well, coming up next, we look at the impact heat waves across the nation is affecting Christmas tree farms.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Where's your emergency?
Everyone's on their way. What happened? Please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at Macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Much of the United States is in a severe drought. The lack of rain is having an impact on crops being grown this year. But for Christmas tree crops, its damage will see several years down the road. Brian Tablak spoke to 2 farmers in Iowa who are worrying about Christmas in July.
At the Cedars Edge Evergreen Market, it's never too early to start talking about Christmas.
It's pretty neat to see these trees we put in that were, a foot or 16 inches have actually grown to, some of them grown up to 9 foot already.
Owner Mark Banowitz first opened 7 years ago. This is the first year he's able to start selling these trees he planted himself.
7 years has flown.
He says those trees are doing well despite the state being several inches short of rain. It's the 500 seedlings he planted this year he's worried about.
The seedlings we're losing a lot of those.
Iowa Christmas Tree Association President Bob Molds, the owner of Wapsie Pines Tree Farm, says Banowitz isn't alone. He says many new farmers are also struggling, and there isn't insurance for crops like these.
If they all die, they all die. There's no insurance.
Mold started changing his ways after the 2013 drought. He's watering each of the 4,000 trees he planted this year, as well as mulching each and every one of them.
If we had not mulched all these trees and individually watered them 3 times while it was dry, a large percent of them would not have made it.
As the association's new president, Mold says he wants to show other new tree farmers like Banowitz what he's learned over the years, so they too can make it through droughts like the one we're seeing right now.
Now, once they put them in the ground, there isn't a whole lot we can do as far as making them grow.
Now, our weather forecaster, Andrew Stevenson, was telling us that really the drought monitor throughout the entire U.S. has been quite high. I think he has a mic up right now and can speak about that.
I was going to say, in terms of like the warmer temperatures, does it look like across the country these above average temperatures are going away anytime soon? You saw it on the Climate Prediction Center outlook. These temperatures are going to be here for quite some time.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. Well, that's it for us today. Be sure to catch us next week when we're back with live shows at WNYNewsNow.com.